Last weekend, 100 Italian chefs just made the world's longest tiramisu. Let me explain. Now, according to Google's definition, a tiramisu is a popular no-bake Italian dessert consisting of coffee-soaked ladyfingers laid with a whipped mixture of eggs, sugar, and mascarpone cheese, and it's typically topped with cocoa powder. In other words, it's absolutely delicious. Well, on the 25th and 26th of April, inside Chelsea Old Town Hall in London, around 100 Italian chefs came together to try and break a world record for the longest tiramisu ever made. Apparently, the original record was set in Milan a little while ago now, and it stood at 273.5 meters or 897 feet, which is just slightly smaller than the Eiffel Tower, which is just mad enough to think about. But with this latest attempt, they didn't just break the record, they absolutely demolished it. Chelsea Old Town Hall tiramisu ended up being 440.6 meters long or 1,445 feet, which, just to put that into perspective, is about the size of 4 football pitches laid end to end. How is that even possible? And what makes this whole thing actually quite funny is the fact that the event where this latest tiramisu was made was actually hosted by the guy who already had the record previously before it was broken. So whoever broke his original record is going to be absolutely fuming that it's just been broken again. There's fully just going to be like a back and forth of making tiramisus between these two people in there. So clearly this tiramisu record is personal. Dare I say it, maybe even a comeback. But instead of doing it in Italy like the previous record, they decided to do it in London because apparently in London it has like the largest population of Italians outside of Italy. But they did this in London as a way of basically saying thank you to the UK. And I mean, bearing in mind, on the tiramisu, it literally says "Grazie, Your Majesty," which I thought was quite a nice touch from them. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, when it comes to stuff like this, Guinness World Record has insanely strict rules. Apparently, everything had to be made fresh on site, no pre-assembly was allowed, and every section must meet exact size standards.
We need is 19,000 eggs.
That is a lot of chickens.
We need 2 tons of mascarpone, 400 kilos sugar, and a lot of passion for that. And 128,000 Savoiardi biscuits.
And they had to maintain consistent height, consistent width, and perfect layering across nearly half a kilometre. I've never personally made a tiramisu, but imagine trying to make like the perfect tiramisu and then having to do it again and again and again and then again after that. Like literally hundreds of times they have to get this perfect for this record to be broken. The whole thing just sounds so stressful. Apparently every layer had to match and had to be at least 8 centimeters tall. And apparently every single layer had to be 15 centimeters wide as well. So those were the specific dimensions. And each layer had to be measured officially by a Guinness World Record adjudicator, so there was literally no margin for error whatsoever. Now, don't get me wrong, it's cool enough to say, oh, well, I've got a Guinness World Record. I mean, this guy's got it twice now, but it turns out they were actually doing this for a really wholesome reason, because the whole event of them breaking this record was actually done for charity, because they were raising funds for eShare Life. Apparently, eShare Life supports education, food security, and communities, so every slice of tiramisu helped someone in some way and had a real purpose behind it, which is actually really nice. But next time you eat a tiramisu, just think that 100 chefs have just made one that needed an entire building to be made. Just let that sink in. But let me know what you guys think about all this in the comments, and make sure you subscribe for all the latest news.